Welcome to the Is It Worth Watching show, where we dive into all things TV and film to help you decide what's worth your screen time. I'm Jake, and with me is my ever curious co host, Jill. Hey everyone, welcome to another thrilling episode of the Is It Worth Watching show. I'm Jake here with my awesome co host, Jill.
Hey, folks.
Today we're diving into a podcast that's all about science and real life applications. It's the Huberman Lab podcast, hosted by Andrew Huberman, a professor at Stanford.
That's right, Jake. This show is fantastic for anyone interested in neurobiology and psychology. Huberman discusses growth mindset, brain plasticity, and even practical tools for everyday life.
Jill, you know how sometimes we feel like we're just born good or bad at things? Well, growth mindset totally flips that script. It's this awesome idea championed by Dr. Carol Dweck that says our abilities aren't fixed, they're actually malleable. So instead of thinking, I'm just not a math person, it's about realizing I can get better at math with effort and practice. One key feature is distancing your identity from your performance. Instead of being the smart kid, you're the kid who works really hard, regardless of the outcome. What do you think about that, Jill?
It's fascinating, Jake. Distancing identity from our performance can be so liberating. It moves the focus from trying to always look smart or competent to genuinely enjoying the learning process itself. Plus, it's about praising effort rather than innate talent, right? That way, when we face challenges, we're more likely to buckle down and rise to them rather than shy away.
So, Jill, I've been thinking about how praise and feedback can really shape someone's performance. Remember that podcast episode we listened to from the Huberman Lab? It got me rethinking how we should be giving feedback.
Oh yes, the one about growth mindset. It's so intriguing how labeling someone as smart or talented can actually be detrimental in the long run.
Exactly. Instead of telling someone they're naturally gifted, we should focus on praising their effort and persistence. Like, you worked really hard on that rather than you're a genius.
It totally makes sense. This way, we're encouraging them to embrace challenges and not fear failure. It's all about fostering that resilience.
You know, Jill, I recently stumbled upon some fascinating research that flips everything we thought about praising kids upside down.
Really? Do tell Jake.
Well, turns out when you praise kids for being smart, it might actually set them up for failure down the road. It makes them afraid to take on challenges because they're worried about losing that smart label.
Wow, that's counterintuitive. So what should we be praising instead?
Effort. Effort praise encourages kids to work hard and embrace challenges. It makes them more resilient and open to learning from mistakes.
That makes so much sense. It's about building a growth mindset, right?
Exactly. And it's fascinating because it's such a simple shift but can have a huge impact on their development. Imagine you're at the gym, but this time you're not lifting weights, you're lifting thoughts. The mechanisms that underpin mindset and performance are kind of like that. When we talk about mindset, we're really diving into how our beliefs shape the way our brain and body react to challenges.
Exactly, Jake. It's fascinating because our mindset can either gear us up for improvement or set us back. This happens through those cognitive and emotional channels we've been talking about. The stress response, whether it's viewed as a hindrance or a help, can literally change how our bodies function under pressure.
Right. And studies show that people with a growth mindset actually redirect their focus to understanding errors, which fuels improvement. It's like giving your brain a workout plan to get stronger.
And when you combine that with the idea that stress can be enhancing, you're looking at a supercharged path to better performance. Understanding these mechanisms is like hacking the system to bring out the best in ourselves.
Hey Jill, today we're diving into the incredible role of neuroplasticity in cultivating a growth mindset. Neuroplasticity is this amazing ability of our brains to reorganize and form new neural connections throughout our lives. Essentially, it's what allows us to get better at what we practice, mentally and physically. When we embrace challenges and persistently work through them, we're literally rewiring our brain to handle those challenges more efficiently. Isn't it fascinating how this aligns perfectly with the idea of a growth mindset? It's like our brain is ready to support us, as long as we're willing to put in the effort. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Is It Worth Watching show. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic, stress as an enhancing mindset. So, Jill, Have you ever thought about stress as something that could actually boost your performance?
Jake, it's funny you mention that because it's not something most people associate with being positive. But there's a lot of compelling research suggesting that if we reframe stress, it can actually become a tool for enhancing our abilities. The idea is that when we encounter stress, it's our body's way of preparing us to meet challenges head on.
Exactly. It's all about perspective. If you see stress as beneficial, your body tends to react differently. You get increased peripheral blood flow and heightened cognitive focus, which can definitely give you an edge in stressful situations. Hey, Jill, have you ever thought about how combining a growth mindset with a stress as enhancing mindset can supercharge just about any endeavor?
Absolutely, Jake. It's like a 1-2 punch. When you believe that your abilities can improve with effort, that's the growth mindset at play. But when you also believe that stress can actually enhance your performance, it changes the game entirely.
Right? Instead of seeing stress as a barrier, you see it as a catalyst. It's fascinating how this reframe can make challenging situations more manageable and even productive.
And it's supported by science too. Research shows that when people adopt both mindsets, their performance doesn't just improve, they actually seek out more challenging goals and persist longer. It's like turning coal into diamonds under pressure.
So, Jill, today we're diving into some really interesting territory, the tools for cultivating a growth mindset and seeing stress as something that can enhance our performance.
Yes, this is such a fascinating area. I think the first step is making praise about effort and persistence rather than just smarts or talent. It's all about focusing on verbs, not labels, right?
Absolutely. And seeking help when analyzing mistakes is another crucial piece. Instead of isolating ourselves, we should be collaborating to understand where we went wrong and how to improve.
And let's not forget the power of the stress enhancing mindset. By reframing stress as a resource, it can really transform those feelings of anxiety into a drive to focus and perform better. You can even write a letter to yourself or others explaining these concepts to solidify them further.
So, Jill, imagine you're on a ship and you're the captain, but the navigator has a different map. Seems chaotic, right? That's what it's like when a teacher and student aren't on the same mindset page.
Absolutely, Jake. The alignment between a teacher's and a student's mindset can be the difference between smooth sailing and stormy seas. When both the teacher and student embrace a growth mindset and see stress as a performance enhancer, everything just clicks.
And it doesn't just save time, it boosts motivation and performance for both sides. The teacher sees potential and effort in the student, while the student feels supported and challenged appropriately.
Exactly. This kind of alignment creates a positive feedback loop where improvement becomes a shared goal and success is a joint victory. It's like both paddles rowing in sync, making the boat move faster and in the right direction.
Hey folks, ever felt like you're hitting a wall and just can't seem to get better at something no matter how hard you try?
Oh, absolutely, Jake. And that's often where seeking help and feedback comes into play, right?
Totally. One thing a lot of us overlook is how crucial it is to get outside perspectives. It's easy to get locked into our own views and think we're doing things perfectly, or quite the opposite, of course.
Exactly. Sometimes, an external set of eyes can spot those little tweaks we need to make that we might completely miss. And let's not forget, feedback can provide that crucial positive reinforcement for the effort we're putting in.
And let's be real, it can be hard to stay motivated if you're secluded in your own bubble. Plus, recognizing effort over just talent helps build resilience and a growth mindset. Writing exercises can be a game changer for reinforcing growth and stress enhancing mindsets. Don't you think, Jill?
Absolutely, Jake. One of my favorite exercises is having people write about a past experience where they overcame a challenge. Reflecting on the steps they took and the effort they put in helps solidify that growth mindset.
That's a great one, Jill. And for the stress enhancing mindset, I find it helpful to write about a recent stressful situation and reframe it. Instead of focusing on the negatives, you focus on how the stress actually helped you achieve something or learn something new.
Exactly. And even a simple daily journal where you jot down one thing you struggled with and how you plan to tackle it with effort and persistence can go a long way. It's all about turning these concepts into actionable habits.
Jill, the mind is always analogized to a muscle, but I've been thinking maybe we need to reframe that analogy.
Oh, how so, Jake? I'm intrigued.
Well, when you work out, your muscles get pumped immediately, giving you a glimpse of what they might look like with consistent effort. But with the mind, it's not like you suddenly ace a concept while you're learning and then lose it. The struggle and frustration have to be seen as the process itself.
It's like you're saying we need to view mental challenges and stress as growth and progress, not just setbacks.
Exactly. It's about seeing the difficulty as the real indicator that you're learning and growing. Phew, that was a hefty deep dive into growth mindset and all its nuances.
No kidding, Jake. It's incredible how much simply shifting our mindset around effort and stress can massively impact our performance and well being.
Absolutely. Dr. Huberman really laid it on thick with the science, but in the best way possible. I think we can all walk away with some actionable tools today, don't you?
Definitely. Focusing on effort rather than labels and adopting a stress is enhancing mindset are such simple yet transformative shifts.
Let's not forget, this isn't just for kids. Whether you're picking up a new skill or aiming to excel in your career, these tools are universally effective.
Exactly. It's all about redefining our relationship with stress and challenges to truly thrive.
Wow, Jill, what an action-packed episode today. Before we dive back in, we got to give a big shout out to our awesome sponsors that keep the Is It Worth Watching show rolling.
Absolutely, Jake. We couldn't do it without their amazing support. And hey, don't forget, listeners, all the resources we mentioned today, including links to our sponsors, can be found on our website.
That's right. Head over to isit2worthwatching.com for detailed show notes and additional goodies. And if you're hungry for more content, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter over there too. So, Jill, what did you think about today's episode on growth mindset from the Huberman Lab podcast?
Oh, it was absolutely fascinating. The idea that our performance can significantly improve just by shifting our mindset from a fixed one to a growth mindset, and even further by embracing stress as a performance enhancer, is incredible.
Absolutely. I found it really insightful how the feedback we receive or give ourselves can impact our long-term performance. It makes you think twice about how you praise others, doesn't it?
Definitely. I'm also intrigued by the practical tips, like seeking help to understand our mistakes and focusing on the verbs or actions leading to our efforts. It's a game changer for how we approach challenges.
All in all, a super insightful episode. We definitely learned a lot, and I hope our listeners did too. If you enjoyed this discussion, you might want to subscribe to the Is It Worth Watching channel for more engaging content. Thanks for tuning in.